Recently, I went on a trip to New York with my girlfriend Allie, and in the 7 days I was in New York, I was able to see 6 Broadway shows. And I thought I would hop on here, since I'm the musical guy, and talk about the shows that I've seen, the State of Broadway, and just general reviews of the musicals. So yeah, I was in New York. The way that we bought our tickets for most of the shows was while we were in New York, either a few days before or the day of. If you're going to New York to go see Broadway shows and you want to see a lot of Broadway shows, I would recommend this method. You could go to the TKTS booth in Times Square. There's also one in Lincoln Center that's secret, that less people know about. So if you show up just an hour early to Lincoln Center's TKTS booth, you're going to be one of the first people in line. So I would recommend doing that. That's what we did on our first day. Our first day we showed up Lincoln Center nice and early. I think they opened at 11. We got there around 10:15, a little later than I wanted to get there. But, you know, we were a little jet lagged. I'm from the West Coast. Being on the East Coast, you know, it was a lot earlier for me than it actually was. So we got in line. We were about 50th not 50th. I would say we were like 30th in line. And we were eagerly awaiting seeing a show. And the one show that my girlfriend Allie really wanted to see more than anything, she had never been to Broadway before. It wasn't her top show, but one of the ones that had piqued her interest was Death Becomes Her, which we got tickets to. Here is my lovely playbill for Death Becomes Her. I have about 3 of these, but I've been giving them away to friends, so this is my last one. And it's mine. I'm keeping it forever. Death Becomes Her, we were sitting in about the mezzanine. Here's some pictures of what it looked like. Honestly, the tickets were a little over $100 to sit towards the front of the mezzanine. And if you're worried about that because you've only ever seen like touring shows and you think, oh, the mezzanine is so far away, I have some great news for you. Broadway theaters are very small, if you didn't know. So sitting in the mezzanine is actually kind of the way to do it if you're a broke college student like me. So 4th row, mezzanine, we saw everything that happened on the stage. And it honestly was a good show to do that for, because Death Becomes Her has a lot of fun gags, a lot of stunts, a lot of things you want to see everything for. You know, I wouldn't want to be in the front row of the Lunt-Fontanne Theater for Death Becomes Her, because there's just so much that you might miss, because so much is happening all the time. In terms of the content of the musical, Death Becomes Her was okay. It was a little popcorny for me, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it was definitely something more attuned for tourist moms who had grown up watching the film Death Becomes Her. If you have never seen the film Death Becomes Her, it's great. I think it's a Robert Zemeckis movie. It stars Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis. It's from the 90s. It's a riot. It's a good time. It's campy. It's fun. And this musical does a good job at capturing the more campy aspect of the movie. That said, I don't think there's a single memorable song in the entire show. And I'm sure some of you will disagree with me, because I know some of the songs are trending on TikTok. And those are the ones that I'm familiar with now, because my girlfriend sings them and my friends sing them all the time. But I wasn't familiar with the songs in this show, and after watching it, I'm still not super familiar with them. Brief spoilers ahead. There's one musical number that utilizes puppets really well. That was the one that I fucked with the most, but I could not tell you how it goes, because the music just, you know, I don't think it was a musical made with the music in mind. It was more focused on doing something fun and a little spectacle-y. The set had a big LED wall screen behind it. I'm not usually a big fan of this, and I do think they used it in some corny ways that I just wasn't a huge fan of. The music, again, nothing special. Megan Hilty was great. Jennifer Simard, I'm going to say my hot take. I think Jennifer Simard is okay. I did not think she was the best part of this musical, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of backlash for that, but I just didn't care for her performance very much. I thought it was a little corny, a little hokey, and sure, that's the point of the show, but nothing grabbed me about her performance. Megan Hilty, on the other hand, super fun to watch, really great performer, really cool to get to see someone as iconic as her live on Broadway. I mean, seriously, if you're a fan of musicals and you're a nerd like me, any trip to Broadway, you're going to be seeing somebody that you think is really cool and is kind of your hero. So Megan Hilty was one of those. Really cool to see her on Broadway. But generally, the show just wasn't super for me. It was a little too, I don't want to say touristy, because, you know, I myself am a tourist, but it felt very much like something that people who don't usually like musicals would go and watch. There were a couple stunts, and they did this tongue-in-cheek bit where the stunt performers came on and loudly lip-synced what the actors were actually saying backstage, even though it was obviously a stunt double. This was kind of fun. I'll say, though, from the mezzanine, a lot of the stunts did not look that cool because I could see everything that was happening and the sort of theatrical magic, but to me, that is also cool. It was really cool to see, like, the theater magic, like, you know, from almost behind the scenes. Like, I could see into the wings a little bit. I could see some of the trickery they were doing. And for me, that's cool. And I think for everybody, that's cool. I don't know. I'm not someone who art is ruined when I understand how it works. I actually kind of like it a little better that way. So, yeah, Death Becomes Her was certainly a musical that I saw on Broadway. And you know what? I had a good time. I enjoyed it. We showed up. I got a little Death Becomes Her cup with a ginger ale in it. It only cost me about $12 without refills. So, you know, I got the full Broadway experience. This was not my first trip to New York, and neither was it my first Broadway show, but it felt like a good way to get rolling on a week full of seeing live theater. You know, just something bombastic, ridiculous, and crazy. And it was enjoyable, although I don't think I'll ever listen to the cast album because none of the songs grabbed me whatsoever. Then the next day, we didn't want to wake up and go to the TKTS booth, so we ended up using this app called Today Tix, and we got relatively cheap tickets to see Floyd Collins, which I don't have my playbill for. I'm pretty sure it's in my girlfriend's purse still. But Floyd Collins was, wow, this was amazing. This was all before the Tonys actually happened, so it was really cool to see a show that I knew almost nothing about. I knew Floyd Collins was a cave explorer. I knew just about that, about Floyd Collins. So it was really cool to go in completely blind and to see Jeremy Jordan, another one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, I am watching the actual Jeremy Jordan on stage. It was really cool to see somebody like that, live and in person, someone I've kind of admired for years now. And it was really cool to not see him in The Great Gatsby, because that would have been kind of lame, and Floyd Collins is actually a really wonderful show. If you're unfamiliar, it's composed by Adam Gettle, who did Light in the Piazza, but Floyd Collins, this is a revival of an off-Broadway production that they did in the late 90s, and it was absolutely spectacular. Genuinely one of the best theatrical experiences I'd ever had. I was sitting in the very back of the loge of a theater at Lincoln Center. I can't remember the name of it at this time, but we were in the very, very back row, and genuinely, I would not have preferred it any other way. It was amazing. The way that the set is built, it's a blank stage entirely, and there are these trap doors that lift up and sort of create the cave while Floyd Collins is in it and while people are outside of it. There's one part of it that sort of goes down like this, and then the people enter the cave that way. They go under the stage and come out from another section, and that was just really fantastic and cool to see, you know, some really awesome abstract theater while we're in Broadway. You know, compared to Death Becomes Her, which is your sort of run-of-the-mill book musical, Floyd Collins kind of takes it and twists it on its head, both on a production level and on a writing level. I think it's just a really unique show. This show did fall victim a little bit to stunt casting. Lizzie McAlpine made her Broadway debut here. And if you don't know Lizzie McAlpine, you might know her from the Spotify Wrapped of every woman that you've ever met. She's huge. She's insanely popular. Her music, I will be honest, is not for me. Despite me loving folk music, Lizzie McAlpine's is so sad, and I can't do it all the time. It takes a toll on me, man. But her voice is absolutely beautiful, and that was definitely the case in Floyd Collins. That said, her acting performance was definitely nothing to write home about. It was bad. It was just not good. I'm sorry for all you Lizzie McAlpine fans. She is not an actor, but her voice is amazing. There was someone sitting in front of us at the theater who every time Lizzie McAlpine would like kind of say a bad line delivery, she would look over at her friend and go, "Goo," which was exactly how me and Allie felt watching it. There was one part where she's chastising Floyd Collins' brother. She plays Floyd Collins' sister, by the way, but she's chastising her brother for going Hollywood on them. That's one of the plot lines. Someone goes Hollywood and leaves the cave. Oh, it's actually very good. I'm mocking it, but it's very good. But she looks at him and goes, "God damn you, Homer Collins, God damn you." Like, no, literally no inflection whatsoever. Just, "God damn you, Homer Collins, God damn you." And it was bad. just bad. Did not ruin my enjoyment of the show whatsoever, though. I understand you got to get butts in seats. And Lizzie McAlpine is huge, and her voice is very good. And there's a world in which she takes a couple of acting classes and maybe becomes a much better performer. It just wasn't the world that we're living in at the moment, but maybe in the future. Highly recommend Floyd Collins. The cast album of The Revival isn't out, but the original cast album is wonderful as well. Give it a listen. If you're into sort of, less mainstream theater, Floyd Collins is definitely a great show. One of my favorite ones that I saw while we were out there. Just really good stuff. The second act gets fucking crazy. I won't even spoil it that much because it's just very good. Recommend Floyd Collins. Hopefully it goes on tour. Hopefully it doesn't close. I think it is closing kind of soon, I feel. I'm pretty sure it's going to close soon. I'm pretty sure a lot of these shows are going to close soon. I'd be shocked if Death Becomes Her makes it an extra year, but maybe it's doing great business. I think it is, so who knows? But Floyd Collins seems like a more limited type thing, so if you're in the New York area, go see it. Hopefully it goes on tour so more people can see this great show. And I think it was robbed. I think it was robbed for Best Revival. I will say one of the shows I did not see while out there, if you're waiting for it, was Sunset Boulevard, and I'm very mad that won. I think that is a very corny production of Sunset Boulevard, and I think Going Out on the Street is hacky. I'm sorry. I think it's silly and weird, and I can't believe that director is doing it again with Evita. Why does this director, if you don't know, I'm talking kind of in code here for the big nerds in my audience, what he will do, the guy who directed Sunset Boulevard, a show I did not see, is take people outside of the theater and have a live stream of them singing outside to go into live stream inside, and that means passerbys get to see this guy walking down the street going Sunset Boulevard, and it's it's corny, I think. Sunset Boulevard, Boulevard, secret and rich, a little scary. Sunset Boulevard. We didn't want to see it, mostly because I think that's a weird, silly stunt, and I just didn't think it would make for good theater. Also, on Sunset Boulevard, Stephen Sondheim was trying to write a musical based off of Sunset Boulevard, the original Billy Wilder film, and wrote the first number, went up to Billy Wilder and said, hey, what do you think? Could I make this a full musical? And Billy Wilder said no. He said, if you're going to make a musical of Sunset Boulevard, it has to be an opera. And then Andrew Lloyd Webber, just like a couple years later, was like, oh, I think I'll make a Sunset Boulevard musical. Oh, ain't it? And I just think that's disrespectful to Billy Wilder. And I think the original Sunset Boulevard movie is fantastic. And I'm done with it. I cannot believe that swept the Tonys. At least Best Actress and Best Revival. That's ridiculous. Andrew Lloyd Webber, you melting clown of a man. But anyway, Floyd Collins was great. We really enjoyed it. I had a great time seeing it. Really loved being in that Lincoln Center Theater. It's the same one that they filmed Mike Birbiglia's Old Man in the Pool special. And you could tell it's like a sort of 3/4 round situation. Really a bigger Broadway theater than I was used to. But honestly, refreshing, cool, and sitting in the back of the loge, which is just the balcony, was a great seat and the cheapest seat. So honestly, I would say if you are young and going to see Broadway, seriously, go see a lot of shows, pay the cheapest that you can, and just go see as much. Now, as much as I say that is the strat, we did buy our tickets in advance for 2 shows, the ones that we kind of wanted to see the most. I also would recommend doing this just in case you're an anxious person like me and are worried about waking up late and missing the TKTS rush, or if it's a show that isn't at TKTS. Big shows, limited engagements sometimes will not be on TKTS. You could do Rush, you could do Lottery, but that doesn't, you can't always just go up to the booth and be like, give me 2 tickets to Hamilton. That will never happen. If you want to see Hamilton, see it on tour, but buy those tickets really early in advance if you're going to go see it on Broadway. Same with Wicked, and not the same, but we wanted to make sure we saw it with Cabaret, which we saw, starring Orville Peck and Eva Noblezada, and wow, I actually think that this is the best Broadway show that I've ever seen in my life. It is the most immersive theater. As someone who thinks the phrase immersive theater is silly, I was fully immersed into this production, like genuinely. Like I think immersive theater is a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. There are some people who do it. I think Punch Drunk Theater Company is the big example, but if it's immersive theater, I'm expecting like Synecdoche, New York. It's going to be entirely like I'm not even going to know what's real or what's not. And that wasn't the case with this, but I will say I was fully immersed in Cabaret from the get-go. I get an email after I buy my tickets telling me that the doors open 45 minutes before the show starts instead of a half hour, which was interesting. And then it also said, show up early for all of our pre-show. This was incredibly interesting to me. And despite being a big musical theater fan, I didn't really know much about this production of Cabaret. I knew Eddie Redmayne was in it. Okay, but he's not in it anymore, so I was really interested, and Allie had said that she heard it's amazing, and I had heard from other friends that it was just absolutely a great production. So I trusted them. We took the plunge. We got orchestra seats 2 weeks in advance, like not even that far in advance. We just wanted to make sure we had them. And we showed up for this supposed pre-show 45 minutes before the show starts. When the doors open, there was a huge line waiting for it outside. This was a very popular thing to do, show up early to Cabaret. And if you're going to go see it, I highly recommend you show up exactly when they tell you to. I showed up 7:15, and we were in line. We get inside. It's a nightclub, just completely. There's house music playing. It was very weird. I was like, they're not doing a nightclub, like modern nightclub rendition of Cabaret, right? And no, that's not the case, but it feels like it when you walk in. Like, seriously, you walk in, there's green lights everywhere, you're hearing, you just got to get through it, though. You walk through, there's this beautiful thing to take a picture of, the Cabaret logo. I have the playbill here. I forgot. This is the playbill signed by 2 cast members from the ensemble. Ooh. We stage doored. I'll get to that later. But you walk through, and you have your phones out. They tell you to take your phones out of your pocket, so everyone's holding their phones, and people take this sticker, which I put on the playbill, that says, keep it in the Kit Kat Club. They put it over the camera on your phone. I think this is a brilliant thing to do. I think it works a lot better than putting it in envelopes or like in little pockets, because at the end of the day, you could just take them out of the pocket. But the sticker, for some reason, you could still look at your phone. It lets you be a little iPad baby in the theater. You don't get antsy for your phone if you need your phone, like your little baba. But they cover the camera, which encourages you not to take pictures because it's a dickish thing to do. And I think that makes everyone rather present. And the idea that you have your baba, but you can't use your baba. I should stop calling your phone the baba. Can you tell that I hate my phone every second of every day? I hate that I have to use it, and I hate I'm addicted to it. But anyway, I think the sticker's a really clever way to sort of forego taking any pictures. And it is a good reason why I wasn't spoiled on this pre-show, which was one of the coolest experiences of my life. I show up, there's 2 bars right next to each other, and in between is this woman doing these little dances with her arms, very slow. There's this weird music playing in the background. I was like, wow, is this woman the pre-show? If so, I even thought that was going to be cool. Like, just to see this woman do this weird modern art performance in front of everybody near the bars. But no, we walk down towards where the bathrooms are, where there's another bar. There's bars everywhere. Everything is decked out in like old-timey, almost speakeasy-like settings. I'm not too familiar with the architectural style, but it was gorgeous. It was red, deep reds and golds, and everything was very lavish and decadent. It was very, very cool. I just was very blown away and immersed. I didn't feel like I was at a show, because then we walked downstairs, and there's a band playing. I think it was a 5-piece band. There was an accordion. There's an upright bassist with an electric upright bass, so he could carry it around and move everywhere. I believe there was a trumpet player. It was an amazing band. It was very cool. Oh no, there was a clarinet player. That's what it was. That was the horn of sorts that they had with them. Oh, and there was a violin player as well. And there were 2 dancers that were just absolutely eating. And the show would rotate, right? It would take like 3 performers at a time. You see them do a song. The other people are elsewhere. I imagine at other parts of the club, doing other shows, performing for other people at different places. But everything would shuffle around. It was an incredibly like dynamic performance that constantly kept moving, and people like kept shuffling in and out, getting their drinks. Me and Allie just stayed and watched. It was absolutely mind-blowing. Like, seriously, such a cool performance to see. Next thing you know, though, I hear this bell, and we're escorted. Everyone starts, slowly moving towards the theater. I hadn't even figured out where the theater was in all of the situation. I was so immersed in the fact that it felt like a nightclub that I was like, I have literally no idea where we are going once this show starts. But everyone just starts shuffling in a general direction. We follow, and we sit down. and all of a sudden it's in the round. And this was at the August Wilson Theater, which I've been in before to see Mean Girls in 2018, and it wasn't in the round. I still have no idea how they did that. This blew me away that this theater at one point was not in the round, and then they made it in the round. Someone can explain that to me in the comments, but I could also go my entire life never knowing how the fuck that they did that. It was mind-blowing. It was so cool. Cabaret, man. And then all of a sudden, this guy walks out. It's Orville Peck. If you don't know Orville Peck, he's this country musician who always wears a mask. He has a really sultry, gorgeous voice. He's amazing, but he didn't wear a mask for this show. And I read in the playbill, it says, there's a little article, you could probably read it online, about him saying that he didn't wear the mask and he didn't feel he had to wear the mask because he was so immersed in the character, that the character itself was the mask. I think that's cool. That's some artsy-fartsy bullshit. I loved it. Super awesome. And then all of a sudden the show starts, and it's Cabaret. It's great. It's a great production of Cabaret. But even if it was just normal Cabaret, which it sort of is with, more fun costumes and different staging, I wouldn't care because that pre-show set it up just to hit a fucking home run, dude. It was so freaking cool to see Cabaret in that setting, and Orville Peck was amazing. Even Noblezada, who was from Hadestown and who's also in The Great Gatsby recently, I didn't recognize her game. She is amazing. She was actually probably the best performer in the entire thing. In Cabaret, the song, Life is a Cabaret, her voice was amazing, and I had heard from somebody at the stage door that she's been sick for the entire week. So to hear her blow me away that much with her voice while being sick, that's Broadway, man. That's just straight Broadway. That's amazing performing. I loved it. She was great. Orville Peck was amazing. He came out and bowed with his mask. What's there to say? It's Cabaret. It never ceases to amaze me what Candor and Ebb can do with their music. And it was really, really just a fun time, and a deeply, deeply depressing, sad, and kind of weirdly relevant musical to watch in 2025. So that was cool. Great to see the show. We stage doored afterwards, and Orville Peck and Eva Noblezada rushed out to their cars immediately, did not sign a single thing. Not that I needed a signature, I genuinely was just like, I wonder if they'll come out, and they didn't, and people screamed. And Orville Peck ran to his car, and there was just oh my God, no! It sounded like someone lost a lot of money gambling. But they just lost the chance to look at Orville Peck. And, what's the difference, really? So, yeah, that was Cabaret. Really wonderful show. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Probably one of the best pieces of theater I've ever seen. And just on an immersive level, on an emotional level. Look, I got a Pride Month playbill here. That's going to be worth something one day. This show's been on for a couple years, though, so it wasn't at the Tonys. But I'm really hoping. There's been a lot of talk online about a cast album with Orville Peck and Eva Noblezada. This is something I don't see happening, but it would be very cool. They don't usually do cast albums with replacements, but they've never done a cast album with the original cast of this production of Cabaret, which is interesting. I don't know why they haven't. Maybe they're waiting for it to close because they don't want to spoil anything. It's something that I think is to be seen, which is why I'm not really talking about a lot of the other aspects of the show, because I think it's genuinely so worth seeing that you should go make it out to go see it. Hopefully there's not a bootleg. I really like that there was stickers over the phones, and as much as I love bootlegs, I think this is a really special piece of theater that is meant to be ephemeral and shared with the people in the space. So I kind of hope that there's not a pro shot or a bootleg. That said, there's probably both. The pro shot will not be available ever, though. I can almost guarantee that will never happen. But seriously, what a special piece of theater Cabaret was. Highly recommended by good old Maxwell Green from YouTube. Go see Cabaret. It's also on the West End right now. So if you are a UK person, go see it. It's really good. The next day, we got up really early because we had heard there was Rush for this show. That was a deal almost too good not to do. It was for the musical Boop. Quick story about Boop. The entire time I was hanging out with my friend Aiden, who you might know from, I don't know, if you've deep dived my YouTube channel. Aiden and I have been friends for a very, very long time. Aiden and Allie kept going hey, we could go see Boop. We could go see Boop. And I did not understand what this was, and I thought it was a very funny joke. So I started joining in, and I specifically started joining in by doing my own impression of Al Pacino, who wanted to go see Boop. This is a video of me doing that in New York.
We can go see Boop. I think we gotta go see Boop.
And this whole time I thought my friends came up with something really funny and clever, but it ended up just being a TikTok that they were referencing, and I was so disappointed. I was like, wow, my friends are so amazing and funny. What a good bit. But no, it was a TikTok the entire time. A TikTok that now I am familiar with.
This is a new character I created based off of a man I saw in Times Square.
Oh, well, we could see Boop.
So joke about it all you want, but I know it's a reference now. You can't trick me. Me and Allie got in line at about 10 a.m. to go rush Boop. If you're unfamiliar, to rush a show means to get there early and buy tickets at the box office that are usually at a discounted price. Boop had a really good deal that I believe is still in action, which on Sundays you can get tickets for $30 if you're under the age of 30. And I would highly recommend it. You can buy 2 tickets if you are under the age of 30. So even if you have your mom with you or someone older than the age of 30, you can buy a ticket for them because you can buy 2 at once. And that's a great deal. So this was the show that I went to go see with my friend Aiden and Claire and with Allie. All of us went to go see Boop nice and early at a matinee at 1 p.m. And Boop is one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life. This is the playbill from Boop. Oh my God. What a terrible, terrible musical this is. I went in so hopeful about a show called fucking Boop, and I was so sorely disappointed. What a terrible show. That said, it was also one of the most fun Broadway going experiences I've ever had. I'll explain why. Boop is a show that I had a lot of hope for. I thought it was going to be something kitschy, like a musical from the 70s, like Annie, you know? Like Little Orphan Annie is an old comic, and then it was a radio show, and then they turned it into a musical. What a weird happenstance, right? To take something that fun and for kids and kitschy and turn it into a musical that's one of the most iconic Broadway shows of all time. That's really cool to me, and I was really hoping that Boop would fall into that category of being a shockingly good and earnest musical. But it was not. Boop's storyline is about Betty Boop being a cartoon star. The first number, I will say, is very, very good. I really enjoyed it. I was like, fuck yeah, this is fucking Boop. It's got Betty Boop in like a Western scenario and, you know, singing in a nightclub. You know, you see Betty Boop performing all of her classic cartoons. I thought that was really fun. But then Betty Boop gets all fed up with it, fed up with the cartoon world, and goes to the real world with a machine. And then she's in the real world for the rest of the musical. And the real world fucking sucks. Every song in the real world is terrible. There's this Comic-Con number that's absolutely baffling. Everybody's in these different costumes and dancing and crumping. And Betty Boop's like, oh, gee, I don't know where I am. Oh, no. Oh, the entire time. That's the entire musical. You cannot convince me any differently. She meets this girl who's supposed to be like a real life middle schooler that loves Betty Boop. That's her entire personality trait. And that's hilarious to me. I can't imagine anybody even slightly close to the age of 12 or 13, 1, knowing who Betty Boop is, and 2, liking Betty Boop that much. Like, she has t-shirts with Betty Boop on it. Her room is covered in Betty Boop merch. She's the biggest booper I've ever seen in my life, and that's just hilarious to me. There's a guy that she falls in love with who sings one of the worst songs I've ever heard when he finds out that she's the real Betty Boop. That's another plot of this musical, is that everybody finds out she's the real Betty Boop when she breaks her cover and performs at a jazz club. I can't imagine this scenario ever happening in real life. Like, imagine somebody dressed up as Betty Boop performs, and then the news starts reporting that she's the real Betty Boop. I can't even fathom that being... I can't even fathom that. Seriously. The guy that she's in love with that loves her sings the song about not being able to understand that she's a drawing and that he's in love with her. After it ended, Claire whispered to me, gotta be top 10 worst songs I've ever heard in my life, and I can't disagree with her. It's just insufferable. But yeah, it's an incredibly hard musical to ever take seriously, and, you know, you could say it's not trying to be taken seriously, but I disagree. There are times when you're supposed to be clapping and screaming for Betty Boop, and I just can't get with it. It just did not work for me. There's this really sad song sung by this trio of men who are all in love with Betty Boop in different ways. Like platonically, one of them loves her romantically, one of them loves that he's her star, and they sing this really sad song about Betty Boop. And halfway through, you're just like, this is about fucking Betty Boop, like the cartoon. There's also, the very big ballad at the end of the show that everyone knows. It was advertised like crazy on TikTok. It was the only thing that I knew. It's a crazy, loud, belty, 11 o'clock number at the end of Boop. And it's just not earned whatsoever. People started standing up and applauding for Jasmine, the woman who played Boop. Let me find her actual name. Jasmine Amy Rogers. Everyone was standing up, applauding her. And yes, she's amazing. She's 26 years old. She's the lead of Boop. She does a great job. Her acting is on point for Betty Boop. Her voice is actually phenomenal. She's seriously like a star. She's meant to be a star on Broadway. And she did a great job singing that song, but I genuinely could not bring myself to clap for a number that much in Boop the musical. Great time, though. Seriously, wonderful show. I didn't hate it that much. It was bad. It was really funny bad, and $30, 100% worth it. Seriously. This show's going to close super soon. If you want to go laugh at a show, do that $30 rush. And also, if you want to go support live theater, go see Boop. But it was not good. I could talk about Boop for a long time. A retrospective of Boop is a video that I could make. If you're interested in that, comment down below. But if not, I'll just never talk about Boop again. Anyway, next show. We, on the same day as Boop, it was a Sunday. Usually Sunday nights on Broadway are dark. There's no shows happening, but that's not all of them. So we looked, and there were a few shows that were up, one of which was Book of Mormon. And for like $115, they were the cheapest seats we could get. Were front row seats to the Book of Mormon. Usually I'm hesitant to sit in the front row of a Broadway show, but this one, it was honestly a really great deal. It was at the Eugene O'Neill Theater. It has been for almost 15 years now. We saw Book of Mormon. Me and Allie had both seen it before, so this was a little bit of like a dirty little secret that we went to go see a show we'd already seen, and we spent a little too much money on the tickets. But front row seats at the Eugene O'Neill Theater are actually really good bang for your buck because the stage is pretty low to the ground, so it's not like you can't see the feet. You can see everything that's happening. You can see the sweat off those Mormon boys, and it was great. I mean, Book of Mormon is one of my favorite shows from when I was in middle school, and honestly, despite the parts of it that are slightly problematic, according to a lot of people, I think it holds up. I think it's pretty earnest. I see what Trey Parker and Matt Stone are going for. It's weirdly one of the most pro-religion shows out there in a very, very weird way. It's not pro-Mormon religion. It's not pro any real organized religion, but it's very pro-religion as a concept, and I think it's really beautiful. I really love Book of Mormon, and for some reason, it always gets me really emotional at the end. And I think that if there's anything good about art, it's the fact that it can do that sometimes. And seriously, the cast is still stellar. I was a little dubious that 15 years almost into the Book of Mormon's run, maybe the cast has gone downhill. But no, they're still casting amazing actors. Seriously, there was not a weak performance in the bunch. Everybody knew what the assignment was killing it. Comedic timing was off the charts. I'd seen it before, so I don't have that much more to say about it because, nothing was new to me. But really great experience seeing it on Broadway. Really fun to cram in a sixth show because we were going to originally only see 5. But, making it 6 makes it so much more fun. And seeing 2 shows in one day, it's not for everybody. I had done it once before on Broadway. Years ago, I saw Some Like It Hot and the revival of Into the Woods in 2022 in the same day. And that was really great, too. I really enjoyed it. But I know it's not for everybody, seeing 2 shows in one day. It's a little taxing. It's long. But I'm the type of person who can watch, 4 movies in one day and, still want to watch a 5th. I really love just watching long things a lot in a row. I don't get tired of it sometimes. And I could see 3 Broadway shows in one day, but I'd feel real bad for those actors. Doing a show before 2 p.m. sounds harrowing. Yeah, 2 shows in one day. We saw Boop and Book of Mormon. Boop of Mormon, if you will. This video's gotten away from me. I just keep going on these long tangents. I hope you're here. I have good news for you. This is the last show we saw. That was Sunday. We saw Boop in Book of Mormon. On Monday, Broadway is dark. There were no shows happening. So we went to the Comedy Cellar, which is also really fun. If you're in New York looking for something to do, the Comedy Cellar is where it's at. It's a really small theater, and it was really easy to get tickets for it. It's free to just register for tickets. If you don't show up, you don't have to pay. But don't do that. Reserve your tickets and go. It's really fun. You'll see some comics that you might know. If you're a big comedy nerd like me, seeing Judah Friedlander makes you giggle. So that was really cool. Going to the Comedy Cellar. I went to this cheese store and lost my mind. I fucking love cheese, dude. And then on Tuesday was the second show we bought tickets for ahead of time, which was Glengarry, Glen Ross, with Bob Odenkirk, Kieran Culkin, Michael McKean, Bill Burr. It was an amazing show. I knew I wanted to see this as soon as I heard that it had Bob Odenkirk in it, and then every other actor that they added. I was like even more excited to go see. I love Michael McKean. He's one of my favorite comedic actors of all time. I freaking love that guy. And Kieran Culkin is also amazing. I really love his performance in everything that I've ever seen him in. And wow, seeing him on stage play this character like I've never seen played before, I truly believe that Kieran Culkin from Glengarry Glen Ross was snubbed at the Tonys. I do think that Colascola should have won. We really wanted to go see O'Mary, but it was sold out for the entire week we were there. But I think Kieran Culkin deserved a Tony nomination for his performance in Glengarry Glen Ross. Seriously, what an amazing performance. If you're unfamiliar with Glengarry Glen Ross, it's about a bunch of real estate agents. I don't really know the proper term to call them, and you know, the ethical mishaps that they go through and how terrible of people that they are. The play is amazing, and it's about to close in 2 days as I'm recording this video. Glengarry Glen Ross will close on Broadway with this cast, so I don't think I'm gonna drop this in time to convince anybody to go see it last second. But it was great. I don't have much to say about the show itself. It's honestly pretty quick. The first act is only like 30 minutes. The second act is about an hour long. It's a pretty short show. It's a play. It was in the Palace Theater, which is one of the biggest theaters on Broadway. It's gotta be. It's fucking huge, dude. It's so big. We were in the back of the orchestra, and I'll say it's still built up a little bit. Like, it's not true stadium seating, like a movie theater or anything, but being in, like, row X, I could still see everything. There was no big head in my way. They did a pretty good job at building the theater so that any orchestra seat is probably worth the money. This was the most money we spent on any show to go see because of how big the cast was. But I feel like every penny I spent on it was worth it, not even just because the show was an amazing piece of theater that I will not forget in my lifetime, but after the show, if you make it out to the stage door, specifically to the front of the stage door, which we booked it to, every cast member came out and signed everything and spoke to everybody. Not for a long time, but for enough time to where I felt really special. Yeah, this was actually kind of interesting. This guy came out, this sort of like usher, and was like, hey, everybody's gonna come out. Everybody usually signs. You can take pictures with these three guys, Bill Burr and Michael McKean. They might not want a picture. Kieran Culkin and Bob Odenkirk will not take a picture with you. Not one picture, please. And I thought that was interesting. I've never had a stage door where people were famous enough to have someone introduce them, which is kind of funny. And I get not wanting to take pictures from Kieran Culkin and Bob Odenkirk. Specifically, Bob Odenkirk has had some health issues, so completely understandable. He doesn't want his photo taken. Kieran Culkin, I also get. I really wouldn't want to take that many selfies with that many people all at once, too, especially when he's kind of the most recent, most famous person up there. But everybody came out. Michael McKean came out and asked to see everybody's dog. Allie showed him her dog, and he liked it, so that's a win for me. Bill Burr came out and started roasting the shit out of this guy who said, how about them Knicks, huh? So that was really cool to see Bill Burr be mean as fuck in real life. That said, when I told him good job, he smiled at me and said thanks with a very sweet tone of voice. So thank you, Bill Burr. Thanks for being nice to me. I appreciate you. Bob Odenkirk was very soft-spoken. I would have liked to talk to him for more, but you could tell he was really tired and wanted to go home. He was one of the last people to sign anything, and we were at the end of the line, so, you know, he wanted to go, but he was very sweet. Kieran Culkin was very funny, very weird. He's exactly what you would expect him to be. He's exactly what I would expect any child star to be like. I told him good job. He looked at me and said no. Agree to disagree, which I guess when you're that famous, You can just evade compliments like that again without anyone being annoyed at you. You're just allowed to say, no, I did a terrible job. You're wrong. You're just allowed to do that, which is a privilege I don't have. If someone tells me good job on a video, I literally have to say, thank you so much. You're so kind. But no, Kieran Culkin can just say whatever he wants. And that's interesting to me. That's the biggest thing I learned. I got a poster, which is in my closet right now because I'm waiting to frame it. I'll probably maybe put it in the background of my videos if I get a good frame for it. But I got a poster signed by the entire cast, which was really special. The show was amazing, as I've said probably way too many times. It wasn't perfect. The dialogue is so fast. It's kind of hard to understand the concept right away. It's sort of like Aaron Sorkin on steroids, the first act, which is, not putting it lightly. It's very fast, very witty, but really good. I've still never seen the movie, but, as the guy doing the Al Pacino saying he wants to go see Boop impression, I should probably go see it. I've been on an Al Pacino kick lately, so maybe I'll watch it. Who knows? Anyway, that was the last show I went to go see. I would have liked to go see Maybe Happy Ending, which won fucking everything at the Tonys, but I listened to the cast album and I'm gonna be honest, wasn't super into it. Maybe that will change if I go see it, which I will if it comes in tours here, or if I'm in New York soon enough to where it's still on Broadway. But I wasn't super into it. I didn't go to see it, but now I feel kind of stupid because it won everything, and I feel wrong. I feel like I should have gone to go see it. We wanted to go see Dead Outlaw, but we did not. The advertising for that show was so ridiculous. It almost turns me off of it entirely because putting a guy in a coffin in Central Park is weird. But we were going to maybe try to go see it on our last day there, but we would have 100% been late to the airport if we had done that. So we didn't. We did not see Dead Outlaw. We did not see Oh Mary. We did not see Maybe Happy Ending. Lots of shows on Broadway that I really wanted to see. I would have liked to go see Gypsy too. Even though I think that every Stephen Sondheim show they've done on Broadway since his death has been kind of a laugh in his face. I would like them to do a nice, faithful, good-hearted, good faith, well done Stephen Sondheim show. But Broadway is yet to prove me wrong on that. But I heard Gypsy was amazing, so maybe I am wrong, and I just didn't know because I didn't go see Gypsy. But there's so many shows on Broadway. Seeing all of these shows, even the ones that I thought were bad, gave me a lot of hope for Broadway. After COVID, I kind of thought Broadway was going downhill. But I don't know. This gave me a lot of confidence that maybe it's going to be all right, even though we still have the things that I've diagnosed as the biggest problems on Broadway, right? We have big movie adaptations, we have stunt casting, we have bad, uninspired musicals. I still think the shows that I saw that were great enough to give me hope in the street. Broadway's not one street. I don't know why I said that. Super corny. Anyway, yeah, going back to Broadway makes me want to go see live theater a lot more often than I do, and it makes me want to be much more of a shill for it than I already am. Go see live theater. Go see community theater. Go see youth theater. Support those kids, even if they're being scammed and charged $600 for a show that isn't even that great. Go see it. Go support live theater because it's the most personal, human-to-human artistic language that we have. It's beautiful. It's ephemeral. It exists only when you're there. It's different every night. You'll notice something new about the art form every time you go. Live theater is amazing, and going to New York with the person I love the most in the world and my closest friends was so special and really makes me hopeful for the future in a time that's actually really scary. Go see live theater, go support the arts, because we can only do it for so long as we're here, and I think that that's really special, and going to Broadway put that in perspective for me. Hey, it's been a while. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am working on my biggest and longest video I've ever made right now that hopefully will come out in a month or so, but I'm making this as sort of a warm-up since it's been a while since I've dropped anything. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've all been well. I want to say thank you so much for 50,000 subscribers. I cannot believe that I've hit that and then some change. This is really special that I get to do this, and not everybody gets to do this. So thank you so much for giving me the privilege to talk about dumb shows that nobody cares about on a place where some people care about them. So thank you so much. I hope to keep making things for as long as I live and as long as people will watch. So thanks for joining me on this, and goodbye. Goodbye!